What is up, dudes? I am Mike P. Behind the camera, one is Steve. Look at this. I got a second. Look at that. Okay, so we're going to be talking about technique today. This is something that a lot of people find very boring, but it's not. It's very cool. Be cool. Again, right? We got to be cool. So technique is everything. Technique is what lets us convey our ideas from our mind and heart out of our body, out of our hands, out of our legs, right? So we need to investigate that. We need to get real confident with it and make sure we're doing things right. But of course, this is all semi-subjective, right? Some people play differently and it works for them, and that's great. But I'm going to show you what works for me and what has worked for me. I've never gotten carpal tunnel. I've been playing for countless years. I don't know, over 25 years now. So I've never been hurt due to playing incorrectly. So take what you want from that. You know, this is what worked for me. And this specific exercise that we're going to start with comes from another section of the Brian Mantia video, Brains video, shredding repus on the Nar Rad. But I mean, that's where I first saw it, but, then I learned it in school and other teachers, and, it's a common technique. But I like the way that he phrased it, so I'm going to do similar to that, which is there's basically 4 strokes. This is hand technique. We're starting where there, okay? That's all we're doing today is hand technique. But there's 4 strokes, right? We have accents and we have ghost notes. But there's specific movements that we need to do sometimes to set up our accents and also set up our quiet notes, right? And this really helps our ghost note playing. This will improve our paradiddle playing. This will improve our double stroke rolls, single stroke rolls, you name it. It's just super, super helpful. So we are going to check that out right now. So first things first, though, is posture. We got to have good posture, which I don't right now because I'm trying to talk into this mic. I'm going to fix that soon. Maybe next time. We'll see. So first things first, right? We want to sit up straight. We're on our shoulders back, right? Because if you're slouching, you got muscles engaged, and you're not getting buff from it either. You need to sit up. You need to relax. So playing relax is one of the most important things, not only for preventing injury and long-term issues, but also that when you speed things up, you don't want to be tense. You're just sabotaging yourself, right? So you need to be relaxed at all times, especially when we go faster. So keep that in mind. First things first, though, right? We want to sit up straight, shoulders back, let our arms hang. We're just hanging our arms from our shoulders, right? Just hanging there. And then all we do, bring up our elbows, right? So we meet in the middle. Hope you can see this on camera B. Steve, get on it. Okay, I can see. Yeah, okay. Everyone can see. So we want that, right? We want to meet our sticks in the middle of our drum, or in this case, our padule. So sometimes people bring up their hands, right? And then they have this thing going on where they're like stretching their wrists, right? So this part is just extended, and so it's constantly getting pulled on. We don't want that. What we want is our hand being just naturally how it comes up, right? We don't bring up our hand and we're like this. That's psycho. That's some psycho right there. We don't want that. So we want to bring up our hand, and then boom, we just put our stick in our hand. We're done. That's it. We're done. Also, for those that don't know how I hold the stick, is I lay the stick on my first index knuckle, not the tip, just the knuckle. And then I pinch that with my thumb, right? That is our fulcrum, okay? So that means that's like the point of which the stick will pivot from, right? But we want all of our fingers on our stick. Some people I see do this and that. And it's like, no, we're not drinking tea. Quit bringing tea into the equation. We don't want that. We want all of our fingies on there, right? So everything is in control. Down the road, that's going to be very helpful for doing finger technique, all that kind of stuff. So we want that, right? Everything on the stick, and then boom, since we're playing match grip, mirror it. No brainer, easy, okay? So the thing though with that, right, is sometimes you'll bring up your stick and it's like, oh, but Mike, there, my hands are relaxed, but look, my sticks are crossing. So pivot out. Don't fly away. Don't do this. None of that. That's dumb. Just separate your hands, right? We can do this. We're humans. We have this, right? We also have brachiation. Learn about it. Take an anthropology class. It's great. Okay, so this is our setup, right? We meet in the middle. Our hands are in neutral position. We don't have any tensions going on. Our shoulders are back. Our posture is straight, right? We got a good spine going. And so next step is the 4 strokes, right? We're finally getting to that. Oh my God. So we want to start with our ghost note ready situation, right? So this is how low our ghost note or tap stroke should be, okay? So here's the thing. We got our downstroke, which is a loud note. We have our tap up, and then our full stroke, okay? So those are the 4, right? I'll do it again. So we got downstroke, where we go from an accent, hit hard, but then we bounce and set up for a tap stroke. Our tap is from that same position, and then we just drop it and pick it back up to the same position. We try to imagine a kind of like plane right here. Let me do this other hand. So we go downstroke, and then we're there. And we imagine a plane across this, right? So this is like as high as our stick is gonna go, all right? So we go downstroke, boom, easy. There it is, okay? Right hand. That's the downstroke. Tap, like I said, same position, done, right? We don't do up to go down. We're already in the position we need to be in. So don't pick up to do a tap stroke. We're already at the tap height. Mind the plane. Right? That's our tap. I know it seems goof, but you can totally do this just to train your all those little bird muscles in your hands what to do, right? We want to be confident in this movement. So from the tap, we want to do a tap up, which is where we're going up to then set up for our next accented note, right? So tap up, we go boop, there it is, done, boop. So it's a tap, and then we're ready for an accent. Tap up, tap up. Okay, last one, probably the most obvious one, right, is the full stroke. We're going boom, we're going accent, then ready for another accent, right? The way I like to practice this side salad is we want to make sure that when we're playing this exercise and some other exercises too, we're keeping the stick against our palm. So we're kind of acting like our stick and hand are one item, right? This is all a wrist exercise. So we don't want to get our fingers and like get our bounce involved right here. That comes later, right? That's when we're actually playing the drum set. Never play the drum set the way I'm playing right now. This is purely for an exercise for the wrist, right? So the more you do this, right, this type of playing for this exercise, we're going to get really strong in our wrist area and the muscles that control our wrists, which is usually this muscle up here. If you feel any pinches or sharp pains under your arm or in your hand, it means you're doing something wrong. Stop, reset, think about what you need to change, right? But the thing is when you're playing this way, you don't want to be squeezing. Like you want to be playing, you want to have all your fingers and your closed grip and everything, but you could be able to pull this stick right out of my hand, right? It's like no biggie there. So yeah, that's how we want to do it. We want to be relaxed and we don't want to be squeezing. We want to be using the correct muscles, right? Which is keeping that closed, which feels very unnatural at first. So it takes some very active, like looking, right? I recommend doing this in front of a full-length mirror, actually, so you can see yourself. And yeah, you can make sure you're doing the right stick heights, etc. So doing it all in order. We're not doing this for speed. We're going down, tap, tap up, full. 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 And you want to do that forever, right? You just want to do it and do it and do it. You could do this watching TV, whatever you're into. I don't know. It's probably best to not do it while watching something. Do it just with a metronome. That's, practice with intention. That's probably the best bet. But anyway, that's what we want to do. Okay. That's the down, tap up, full stroke, right? That's all 4 types of strokes that we play as drummers. Consider your mind blown and you just have figured everything out now. So how do we use that though? What's like, that's a good exercise, but like next chapter, right? Like where can we apply this to make other things better? So one thing is our paradiddles, right? So one exercise I really like to do is play a paradiddle, but move the accent around, right? Not just the typical, right? That's like you take your first drum lesson. That's what somebody teaches you, and they don't explain why you need to know a paradiddle or anything. It's just like, great, that's a paradiddle. I have no context for that. Now we can actually get into some stuff, right, where we treat it as a more practical exercise where we're learning where and how to play certain accents because we want to be able to use that in other contexts. So this is a great exercise. So just as an overview of the actual thing is for these moving accents is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Right? So I did every number, every E, every and, every if we're thinking in 16th notes. So that can be kind of a mind F, right? Because we're not, maybe some of us aren't used to doing that. And so that takes some kind of fourth dimensional like coordination, right? Because we're throwing accents in new places, in new scenarios, right? Because the paradiddle is not just straightforward. It has a very specific sticking. And so, yeah, that getting ready and prepared for certain accents can be a tough adjustment. So this is where our technique comes in, right? So we're going to be doing our prep notes. We got to figure out where our prep notes are, where our accents are, right? So if we're starting with the first one, very bare bones paradiddle, right? Vanilla paradiddle, accent on the downbeats. It's going to be down, tap up, tap, tap, down, tap up, tap, tap, down, tap up, tap, tap, down, tap up, tap, tap. So I know this seems like real mechanical. It's like, Mike, I'm not a robot. Don't, I'll play with some soul. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we do this with that like closed hand thing, right? Because we want to train our body to do those things automatically, right? So the purpose of this is to go super slow and to teach our little baby muscles in our hands what they're supposed to do so that when we do speed it up, it just happens naturally, right? We're just trying to fool ourselves into playing it correctly and cleanly. Because this is the type of thing that's going to make you sound more experienced, I'll say, than somebody just starting out, right? But how do people sound so experienced? Here, top secret, ready? They practice. It's all just practicing. Don't fall for the clickbait, okay? It's all just, you got to practice. There's no like, this technique takes you to the next. No, it doesn't. Just practice. Just practice all your things, right? This is one of them. This one's going to be like such a fundamental thing, but it's going to make you sound like you actually know what you're doing, right? You're going to sound clean. Your quiet notes are going to sound quiet. Your loud notes are going to sound loud. That's what we want. It sounds basic, but it's harder than you think, right? So anyway, that's very mechanical, but we're going to sound better. So that's why we're doing it this slow. So no, don't sass me. Okay. So next one, we're going to do the E's, right? So that's our lone left and lone right. So we're going to start with our first accent ready to go, right? And we're going to tap up on the double. So on the second hit of the double. So we're going right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Easy, right? Some of these take some practice because it's again, this is a coordination thing. Even though it doesn't seem like, oh, I'm doing this over here and that over there. No, it's like this is just two hands, but it can be tricky. So go easy on yourself. Next one, we're going to do the beginning of the double, right? So we're going to do our tap up for our first hit because we're going tap up, tap, downstroke, tap, tap up, tap, downstroke, tap. 1, E, and, 2, E, and, Makes sense? Good. Last one's pretty easy because we're going to tap on the first of the double, accent the second, right? So they're just right after it, right? They're adjacent notes. So it's kind of easier, right? So we're going to go all taps until we get to the tap up of the first of the double. 1, E, and, 2, E, and, 3, E, and, 4, E, and, and there you go. That's all of them. Go slow. You can also mess around with going from one into the other. But again, if we're doing the close, this is purely for the technique thing, right? We want to go real slow because we're not trying to push our tempo. We're just trying to teach our little muscles what they're supposed to do, right? And be real forceful with our accents, real delicate with our ghost notes or tap notes, and be just as clear and precise as we can while being relaxed, okay? Because then as you get more comfortable with it, blah, 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 then it's like, go nuts. I wasn't going nuts. I don't go nuts, okay? But, then you can start to just flow with it, so. And whatever, like, always be aware of your heights when you're getting into just playing it how you would normally play it, not as an exercise, but, still an exercise. But as you would play it more normally with your normal grip and everything, right? That's what we want to pay attention to is how high or low our notes are. Because, man, it's like that's a forever thing. I'm always trying to be aware of that to get better and better because we're never not learning and we're never not trying to get better. We always got to try and get better. And that's a lot of scrutiny. We got to really make sure that we're aware of what we're doing and always trying to improve. So get at that. So the last bit of the paradiddle, where we accented the second double, right? That's kind of going to lead us into the double stroke roll. And I'm not going to get too deep into this, but what we get into with with double strokes is when we first get into them is drummers usually tend to, or new students tend to just try to get the double, right? And it sounds like garbage, right? Because it's a weird concept at first until you really practice it and develop it. And then you start to sound like a real pro, right? But what we want to do is make sure those two notes are identical, right? Same velocity, right? No matter what dynamic level we are, we want to make sure those notes are equal, right? And a very counterintuitive way to practice that is we do a tap into a downstroke, okay? So just like we learned last chapter, we go tap up, down. Oh, lost the pad mic. Hold on. I got this mic specifically for the drum pad sound. I hear it's the best drum pad sound. So good. Oh man. You don't even need to compress it or EQ it. It's just like, that's the sound I'm looking for. Okay. So where was I? Double strokes. So we're going tap up, down, tap up, down, tap up, down, tap up, down. Again, we're using that weird technique where we're closing our hands, not tight, but we're keeping the stick against our palm so that we're relying purely on our wrist to make these hits happen. Tap up, down, tap up, down, tap up, down, tap up, down. Right? And we want to go slow. We want to go even slower than that for sure. Just like down, so up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? And just like live on that for 2 weeks, okay? Doing that every day because we really want to teach those muscles that, hey, that second note's important too. Because again, we don't want where the first note is loud, second note is quiet. That's sucky. So we want to really stress that up, right? Stress that second note. We want to teach our body that that note is important, if not more important, but it's not. They're the same important. And so, yeah, again, and then eventually when you speed things up, like it just evens out, right? That's the goal, is to get to a point where when we speed things up with that, it's just, yeah, it's a smooth little double stroke roll. And I feel like I'm always practicing my double strokes. I still don't feel content with them, but you know what? That keeps me hungry. I want to always get better. So I'm always working on it, right? And so that's gonna make it better. It's gonna make you better. But go slow again, right? And if ever you feel pain, quit it. You're doing something wrong. You're squeezing too much. Your posture sucks. You're extending a tendon or something. Chill out. Reset, okay? Any bit of pain, like any bit of pinch. The only thing you should feel that's like discomfort of any kind is the burn you feel in your muscles. But that's the same burn you'll feel when you lift weights or whatever, right? That's okay. But pinches, sharp pains, quit it. Stop. So yeah, so this is some of the technique stuff that I practice. So if you want to get into it, have at it, because it helped me quite a bit and made me understand how to hit the drum better and sound better. So depending on if you want to or not, that's how you'll go big time. All right, next thing I want to talk about is sometimes when we are learning our instrument and we're getting deep into it, we're studying all these exercises. We're doing all kinds of like style investigation and like maybe getting into some really inside baseball exercises. And if you're playing guitar, all your like the way you can play your scales or whatever it is, right? We can get sort of lost in that stuff, right? And so what I want to say is that it's really important to stay grounded, right? Because like when I was going to school and I was, hanging out with different people, they were into different things. And so we're, and we're like playing different kinds of music. Like I went, head first into jazz, right? A little before college and then into college too. And it was awesome. It was really good, but it was all new, right? And it was somewhat unfamiliar, but I liked it. I knew I liked it. But there'd be times where it's like, I kind of get lost in it. Like I'm feeling, kind of like imposter, right? And what is always good to do is, think about what got you into music, right? What got you playing your instrument? What was the thing, that you used to listen to that was like, dang, I want to do that. This is like before you even know what music is, you were listening to a band or something and you're like, that's what gives me the feelings that I love and that takes me places that like books can't or like drugs can't. Just kidding, whatever. But you know what I mean? it's that thing that like gets you where only music can get you, right? And sometimes when you're learning new things, those things don't really do it for you yet. You know, you love it, but it's not a part of you yet. You know what I mean? And so it's really important to like go back and listen to that stuff and play that stuff, right? All the stuff that you loved. And what might be cool is like you're better than you were then. And so you can play the stuff that you couldn't before, all that. And that's, you know, pretty validating. But that's really important because it's easy to get lost in the technique of everything and the kind of getting too much maybe into the sport of playing your instrument rather than the artistic and like soul satisfying aspects of music, right? So, because that's, you know, when we get into sport mode, like Whiplash is a great example of like that. I would never want music to be that, right? It's like competitive bull. Like that's not artistic to me. It's not fun. It's not welcoming. It's not creative. It's just kind of you know, versus another. Like, I don't know. To me, music is not a combative arena. It's a creative arena, right? And so we want to tap into that as much as we can, right? We don't want to get lost in these other kind of, I don't know, for lack of a better term, subcultures of learning an instrument, right? Because I knew a guy in school. He was one of my teachers. And he was awesome. He was so good at drums, like just mega, mega good. He had all the technique. He had transcribed like so much Dave Weckl stuff. The guy was like amazing. I wish I was that shreddy and like well versed in everything. But what he was missing was he didn't have love for music. Like he said to me, he was so bitter one day that he wishes he would have put that much time and energy into tennis because he would have at least had the opportunity to play in front of a lot of people and win tournaments and make money. And it was just like, dang, dude, you're thinking about music so wrong. I don't even know why he would go into music thinking he would make money. Like, come on, like that's a rare thing. Like, who gets those big gigs? It's a very small percentage of people who get the big gigs that pay thousands and thousands of dollars. Like, especially now, people are listening to more music made by computers and AI than they are by human beings. So I don't know, but I mean, that was back then. Now it's even worse. So don't be discouraged though. It's a great craft. Okay. Anyway, going back, digressing again. Okay. So we want to always know where we came from, right? For me, when I got into jazz, I was listening to a lot of bebop and like, you know, 60s jazz stuff, and it was awesome. It was really good. That led me to modern jazz. So I got super into like Chris Potter and Kurt Rosenwinkel and all those dudes. I don't know. Nate Smith is the best. He's the Abso Besto. Check him out. Yeah, but I just so many people, right, that are modern players that are all influenced by past jazz. So that was a great bridge for me. But now that stuff, my point is, that stuff for me is like a part of me just as much as the bands that I first started listening to before I even got into music. Like those things are all like so much ingrained in me now. But it was really good to go back, reference the stuff that brought me up to the stuff that I've currently digested as my own now too, and made them one, right? Because that eventually happens and you start to see the connections and blah, blah, blah. And you get to be open-minded and not such a snob about music, right? Because we're learning all these new things and all these different styles. And it's just a great, great thing. So, you know, don't get lost. So in conclusion, don't lose sight of where you came from, right? And what you love and what got you started, right? With all this stuff. It's so important to not get lost in all the things that are new in the stuff that you're learning, right? It's all good, but you want to also stick with why you love it, right? And connect those things to everything else that you're learning. So that's what you want if you want to go big time.